the chatter that the Chargers, who are 4-4, they have a coach, Brandon Staley, who has apparently been given some kind of ultimatum. At least that's the noise, that there's an ultimatum for Brandon Staley. Now, what would that be? The belief within NFL circles, I love that, is that Brandon Staley, I was reading this, he needs to lead a winner in year 3 or he gone. He will not survive as the head coach of the Chargers. Now, if you look at your NFL standings right now, at 500 record, the Chargers are on pace to not make the postseason. And if that were to happen, they would miss the playoffs for the second time in 3 seasons with Brandon Staley at the helm. And when they did make the playoffs, it was a humdinger of an exit. All right, so let us discuss the question. We'll keep it simple. This is not that hard. Is Brandon Staley in the danger zone when it comes to the Chargers? That's the noise, right? There's people already connecting Bill Belichick to the Charger job, that Belichick's going to exit New England and then fly on a private jet across the country, land in L.A., and I guess he's going to go surf, and maybe he'll walk around Venice Beach and then take over the Charger job. So is Brandon Staley in the danger zone for the Chargers? I've got Meow Mix, Boombox, and Meatballs, and we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to make some chicken nuggets. Why not? The chicken nugget, a great creation. I had no idea the chicken had nuggets, but just wonderful. All right, so I will believe that Brandon Staley is going to lose his job when Brandon Staley loses his job. We already fired him on this show. So we have the bully pulpit. As far as we're concerned, he's already lost his job. We fired Brandon Staley, but turns out the Chargers are operated differently, and the report that is bouncing around is filled with weasel terminology. There's a lot of weasel. Pop goes the weasel. A lot of weasel terminology. For example, you're telling me an NFL coach is expected to put a winning team on the field. That is a shocking ultimatum. What teams don't have that ultimatum? Well, what are the list of teams? Well, we don't really care if you have a winning product on the field. That is the epitome of edgy reporting. What was your source on that? My God. But Brandon Staley, in all seriousness, is snacking on Meow Mix. Meow? He's eating Meow Mix, and I'll tell you why. He's a kitty cat with 9 lives, a pussy cat with 9 lives. He is. And just like a cat, he's got those reflexes. He can twist around in midair and escape danger. But the fact that he's still coaching shows you the lack of commitment by the Charger franchise, that he's still the head coach. They had a 27-0 lead in a playoff game to Jacksonville and gave it all away. And he's supposed to be a defensive whiz kid, defensive genius, my fat ass, and he kept his job. It's embarrassing. And the reason he kept his job is because the ownership class in the Chargers organization, they're cheap. They're the frugal franchise. And so the idea that they're going to get rid of Staley, he should have already been let go. But then they're going to go and hire like Belichick, who I'm assuming is not going to work pro bono if he were to be hired by a team other than the Patriots. It's complete nonsense. Now, Staley should be let go. He's not doing a good job. You don't get credit for beating the Jets, who blow, and the Chicago Bears, who suck. Let's see him beat the Lions. That's a real team, the Detroit Lions, this weekend. All right, now, page 2. We head now to chaos in the Bay. Chaos in the Bay. What does the Steve Wilks move do? What does it mean? Now, if you didn't see this, let me set this up before we get to that. So Kyle Shanahan is cranking up the volume. He's cranking up the volume there in San Francisco. Steve Wilks, the defensive coordinator for the Niners, has been pushed down to the field, no longer hanging out in the coach's box. So what does it mean that defensive coordinator Steve Wilks has been put on the field? What does that tell us about the 49er mindset? All right, so it tells us that the volume on the boombox, which is playing Indigo Girls, Shame on You, has been cranked up. Shame on you, pointing the finger of shame. A scathing indictment of Steve Wilks, and also a tell, and you don't need me to tell you, but I'll do it anyway for those that are heavily inebriated or trying to sleep. So every man, woman, and child with an IQ above 30 would be able to tell you that the 49ers coaching staff, the head coach and the front office, are placing responsibility on Steve Wilks, that they are giving a mulligan to their quarterback, Brock Purdy. They're blaming the defense. And so, yes, the finger of blame, I'm pointing at you, the finger of blame has been put on Steve Wilks. And from the outside, you look at the Niner defense, and they got the big names. Fred Warner, total stud. Nick Bosa, Hall of Fame player. Other big names. You know, the last month, as the Niners have lost 3 games in a row, their defense is ranked in the last month 31st in the NFL. There's only 32 teams. They're 31st in the NFL. And so that is where the blame is right now. And so Wilks is being tasked with, like, you got to go down there and fix this. This is on you. That's on you, tough guy. And that is the Mike Tomlin punishment. Remember Tomlin, we talked about this, I think it was last week we discussed this, that the Steelers' offense had been the quality of fertilizer. And so what did Tomlin do? Tomlin punished Matt Canada by putting him on the sidelines. And did that work? No. The Steelers won, but their offense sucked in that game also against Tennessee. It wasn't very good. It was pretty bad. So San Francisco now, they got a date with Jacksonville this weekend. That is an awesome game because Jacksonville's on the come right now. They've been kicking some ass. And then you got the Niners who are going the other direction. And the Niners getting their guys back. So does that mean everything's fine now? And Brock Purdy's a system quarterback. We were right about that take. We win that take. That Brock Purdy's a system guy. And so now he's got the guys back so he can play in the system and be fine. All right, last word. Headline, we go to Tennessee, the Music City, where the Titans, we talked about this earlier in the week, they have elevated Will Levis as QB1, and they benched Ryan Tannehill. He has been dismissed as the starting quarterback. He's going to be the backup. Now, Tannehill was not thrilled about this latest development, as you might have guessed. You didn't need really him to tell you, but he said it hit hard. That was the quote. It hit hard. He said he's never been in this situation before. Never a situation anyone wants to be in, but he's in it. So how does the future look? Almighty soothsayer, the one with the crystal ball, distant relative of Nostradamus, friend of Nostradamus. How does the future look for Ryan Tannehill after being benched in Tennessee? So the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meatballs. That's the forecast right now. And it's a gummy situation. The reason it's a gummy situation, Ryan Tannehill has let his play do the talking. And he's playing like someone that should be playing golf, not football. That's a problem. And by any reasonable measurement, whether it's statistically or watching highlights or watching him just play in general, it does not just whisper, it screams washed up. And so the future for Ryan Tannehill, if he chooses to keep playing after this year, we assume he will. There's a lot of money to be a backup quarterback in the NFL, but he will go on the quarterback merry-go-round. Round and round and round and round goes the quarterback merry-go-round. Ryan Tannehill can be the cabana boy for Patrick Mahomes if he wants to back up next year in Kansas City, or he can maybe even start the Patriots. Why not? They have no quarterback there in New England. But his days as a bona fide QB1, Ryan Tannehill, on a team that can sniff playoff contention is over. And it's a great indictment of the entire Tennessee Titans franchise that they wasted what had been some pretty good teams with a total stiff at quarterback in Ryan Tannehill. Can you tell me when Tannehill played well in big games? I'll sit back and I'll take your comment off the air because I don't recall it. Every time I remember Tannehill in a playoff game, he was the problem. And so Tennessee bet on the wrong horse. They bet on the wrong horsey.